We saw it on the security footage. When the clock chimed, they blurred. Then they vanished. But in that last second, look at their faces and their expression. It's not fear, it's shock. As if they see someone they know, and that person is taking them. 347 people, an antique clock, 47 minutes, and the next victim could be you. Section 1. The Discovery. The First Chime. 0000. Discovery in the cargo hold. Tuesday, November 3rd. Security Chief James Thornton was conducting a routine check in the cargo area. Giant containers, pallets, crates, everything was as it should be, silent and dark. The click of the security alarm broke the monotony of the environment. Until he noticed that the door of container 47 was slightly ajar, only a finger-width gap, but it didn't escape James's professional eye. Who opened this? The manifest said museum items, James muttered, shining his flashlight into the gap. A dim, dull reflection came from inside. He approached the container. He opened the door completely. Inside were antique items, a rare collection being shipped to a museum in London. Dusty, expensive. Tables, sculptures, vases, paintings. They were carefully packaged. And right in the center, standing as if on a stage, a large clock. A freestanding grandfather clock, about 2 meters tall. A black, carved mahogany wooden body, gilded ornaments, fine craftsmanship. Its dial had old Roman numerals. The clock's glass looked yellowed with the weight of time. It was certainly very old, perhaps 300, 400 years old. It had to be the museum's most valuable piece. He approached. He shined his flashlight on the clock's glass. The hour and minute hands inside were motionless. It had stopped. The clock's mechanism was in an ancient slumber. But at that moment, tick, a single muffled sound. Because the surroundings were completely silent, the sound echoed in James's mind. The hour hand, as if coming to life, moved for a second. Then it stopped again. James instinctively backed away. His heart was racing. Is this thing working? There was a small, oxidized bronze plaque mounted on the black wood beneath the clock. Engraved on it in capital letters was a Latin inscription. Tempus edax rerum. Time, the devourer of all things. James flinched. A strange, cold sensation wrapped around his whole body. It was as if the clock, with dark pupils, was looking at him. Instinctively, he felt he was next to something dangerous. He quickly closed the container, checked the seal, and since it wasn't sealed, placed his own seal on it and noted it in the logbook. That night, according to James Thornton, the clock was just old and spooky. He didn't know the real face of the danger yet. 0600. The first chime. The first loss. The morning shift had begun. The ship was waking up with the noise of the engines and the smell of coffee from the kitchen. Steward Antonio Rodriguez was a cheerful man. He was walking down the corridor with a basket of towels. The 8th floor. Guest cabins. His daily cleaning routine. Exactly at 0600. Dong! A deep, resonant, and long-lasting bell toll. It sounded like a bazooka. The whole ship shook with this sound, overriding the engine noise. Antonio stopped. He crouched down. His basket fell, and the towels scattered. He looked around astonished. Where is that sound coming from? It's not the emergency alarm. The sound came again, stronger. Dong! It was closer. It sounded like it was coming from inside the ship's steel hull. Antonio, driven by his professional curiosity, walked toward the sound. Corridor, stairs, lower decks. He went down the stairs. As he approached the cargo hold, the echo of the sound intensified. The door of container 47 was open, again. Even the seal James had put on was ripped off. A strange light was leaking out from inside. A golden, soft light, yet also eerie. It was like a flickering flame. Antonia walked inside as if drawn by a magnet. The clock was there, and it was working. The pendulum, which should have been motionless, was swinging at high speed. The hour and minute hands were spinning wildly, and the clock was chiming with a terrifying rhythm, striking every second. Dong! Antonio was mesmerized. He reached out to touch it, to stop it. At that exact moment, the security camera recorded Antonio's body blurred. His image flickered, as if a TV signal had suddenly been lost. It pixelated. The contours of his body melted away. And his face changed in a terrifying way. Not fear. Shock. His eyes widened to their maximum point. His mouth opened, but no scream came out. Then, he looked forward. There was nothing in the empty container, but Antonio was seeing someone. Someone he knew. His lips barely moved. Is that you? Why? Then, flash! A momentary flash of white light. Antonio vanished. The container was empty. Only the clock remained. The pendulum slowed. The spinning hand stopped. It was locked at 06. It calmly continued to tick. 07:30, the first realization. Antonio was missing at the morning roll call. No one had cleaned the cabins. In the 8th floor corridor, the dropped towel basket and scattered towels remained, but Antonio was nowhere. Captain Marcus called an emergency meeting. Tension had seeped into every crack of the ship. Antonio Rodriguez is missing. He was last seen at 05:45. Does anyone know anything? No one knew. His fellow stewards said they last saw him at midnight. Dr. Sarah Chen, the ship's doctor, asked, could it be suicide? Could he have jumped into the sea? Was he under extreme stress? Security Chief James shook his head. He hadn't told anyone about the clock and the cargo hold yet. He said, I checked the security cameras. Antonio is seen walking in the corridor. Then he goes down to the lower deck. He goes to the cargo hold, and the recording cuts out there. The captain frowned. Cuts out? How does it cut out? Yes, at exactly 06, the recording is corrupted. There is nothing for 3 minutes, just static. Then it resumes, but Antonio is gone, as if he evaporated. Chief Engineer Victor looked at James suspiciously. It could be electromagnetic interference, a strong magnet, or some kind of generator in the cargo hold. Or, said Ship Officer Elena with a cold voice, or a crime. Someone killed him and hid the body. That person also set up the camera interruption. The captain made his decision. He had to take control before panic spread. We will investigate the cargo hold immediately, every inch of it. 0800, the discovery of the clock. Captain Marcus, James, Dr. Sarah, and Engineer Victor descended to the cargo hold. Humid, cold, air. Container 47 was opened. The clock was there, standing, silent, as if it hadn't just taken someone away. The captain approached. What is this? James explained nervously. An antique clock, London Museum collection. I found it last night during a check. It had stopped, but then it moved for a second. Dr. Sarah touched the clock. It was cold, very cold, an abnormal coldness. Victor read the plaque under the clock. Tempus edax rerum. Time, the devourer of all things.
What does it mean? The captain frowned. An old Latin saying, from Ovid, time leaves nothing behind. It consumes everything, objects, buildings, and people. The captain grumbled. A nice saying, but what does it have to do with Antonio? Just then, the clock trembled slightly, but everyone in the container felt it, like a wave of energy coming from within the mechanism. Tick. The hour hand moved for a second. Everyone stepped back. A nervous whisper spread. "Is this thing working?" Sarah whispered. James replied, "No, it should be stopped. It needs a battery, and there's no battery. There's no electrical connection either." But the clock was moving. Slowly, but surely. Tick, tick, tick. It was the beginning of a nightmare they could neither reverse nor stop. Section 2. The second chime, engulfed in darkness. 12 p.m. The second chime approaches. It was noon. Everyone on the ship was tense. Whispers were on the verge of turning into screams. Antonio was still missing. Search teams had scoured everywhere. The sea was checked. No trace, only that strange ticking sound coming from the cargo hold. The captain had the clock locked in the cargo hold. Additionally, he stationed 2 experienced security guards in front of the container. The door was sealed. No one was to enter without permission. But the clock continued to tick. The captain, James, Sarah, and Elena watched the live camera feed in the security room. 11:58. The clock was ticking quietly. Tick-tock, tick-tock. 11:59. James leaned forward. "Look, the pendulum is speeding up." The pendulum swung faster and faster, as if storing energy. 12 o'clock. Dang! The bell tolled. More violently this time, even the monitors in the security room vibrated. And at that moment, the camera showing the cargo hold blurred. The image was corrupted, static, black and white lines, a chaotic distortion that no signal generator could cause. 3 minutes, 3 interminable minutes. Their hearts pounded against their chests. At 12:03, the camera returned to normal. But the image inside the container was horrifying. The clock, its pendulum still, pointed to 12 o'clock, and right in front of it, someone was there. A young woman, one of the passengers. Her name was Maria Santos, a teacher. James grabbed the radio. "Maria Santos! She's in the cargo hold! Go immediately! She's motionless!" The team ran. The security guards quickly opened the door. Maria was there, in front of the clock, motionless. Her eyes were open but staring into space. "Maria, can you hear us?" Elena approached. Maria did not react. She was only looking at the clock. There was neither fear nor shock in her eyes, only complete emptiness. Dr. Sarah approached. She quickly touched her shoulder. Maria suddenly jumped, her whole body tensed like a spring. She screamed, "It came! It came! It saw me!" "Who came, Maria?" Sarah tried to hold her. "I don't know, but I recognized it. I knew who it was. But now I can't remember. My head is empty." Maria was crying hysterically. She was trembling. Sarah led her out of the container. She tried to calm her down. But at that moment, as they stepped into the sunlight, they noticed. Maria's curly black hair was snow white, completely, as if she had aged 50 years. Not just a strand, all her hair. And her hand, the hand holding Sarah's, was wrinkled. It was like the hand of an old, bony woman. But Maria was only 28 years old. 1 p.m. Maria's testimony. Dr. Sarah examined Maria in the infirmary. The medical findings were beyond comprehension. Her heartbeat was slow. Her body temperature was abnormally low. Her eyes were startled, fixated on empty space. Medically, she was suffering from an accelerated aging syndrome. Maria, what did you see in there? What happened in front of the clock? Maria looked in the distance. Her voice was a whisper. The clock chimed, and I saw a light, golden, hot, but also icy cold, like an energy. And someone came out from inside the clock. Who came out? The person Antonio saw? I don't know. I couldn't see their face, only a silhouette, but I recognized them. I knew who it was, like an old friend, or a lost family member. It came towards me, slowly. It reached out, and it held me. What happened next? Time stopped. The surroundings froze. Only we were there. And it looked at me, looked straight at me, and I felt that it was stealing my time.
Sarah was shocked. Stealing your time? Yes! My years, my youth, my memory, everything. As if a vampire was sucking my blood. But then, it let go. It didn't take me completely, just a little, like a warning. It told me it would take all of it next time. But it had no voice. I heard it inside my head. Maria squeezed Sarah's hand with her whitened, wrinkled one. Doctor, that clock is a living thing, and it's hungry, very hungry. At the next chime, this time it will take all of it. 14:30, the captain's decision. Emergency meeting. Tension had reached the breaking point. Captain Marcus slammed his fist on the table. This is nonsense. A cursed clock, a time-stealing entity. These are medieval fairy tales. But Maria's hair, Captain, Alina yelled. It turned white overnight. This is medically impossible. Even age spots have formed. Dr. Sarah interjected. Actually, it is possible, though very rare. Extreme stress, Warner syndrome, sudden aging. But what Maria has is different. Not just her hair, but her skin tissue is affected. She looks like she aged 20 years, and her memory's damaged too. Victor asked, how does the clock work? No battery, no electricity, yet it functions and emits electromagnetic interference. What is the power source? James opened Antonio's security footage again. Look, the moment Antonio disappeared, 0600. The footage played. Antonio stands in front of the clock. The clock chimes. Antonio blurs. His face shows shock. He looks forward. His lips. Is that you? Then he vanishes. Now look at Maria's, 1200. Maria's in front of the clock. The clock chimes. Maria blurs, but she doesn't vanish like Antonio. She just freezes for 3 minutes. Then she returns. Do you see the difference? James asked. Antonio was completely gone. Maria returned. Why? Dr. Sarah answered with a trembling voice. Perhaps Antonio didn't resist. When the shadows completely surrounded him, he didn't hesitate for a moment because he recognized the entity. But Maria might have resisted. The entity tried to take Maria, but couldn't take all of her. The captain took a deep breath. His eyes were tired. Fine. Let's assume this is true. Let's assume that clock is cursed. Then what do we do? This thing chimes every 6 hours. The next chime is at 1800. Victor leaned forward. We must destroy it. Break it, smash it, Throw it into the sea, now." "No," Elena said. "It's a museum piece, insured, worth millions of dollars. The legal consequences will be severe." "Money? People's lives are at stake," Victor shouted. The captain intervened. "Enough! I have made my decision. We will keep the clock locked. No one will go near it. We will monitor it 24 hours a day with security cameras. It will chime again in 6 hours. Then we will see what happens. But destruction is the last resort for now." 1400. Preparation. Following the captain's instructions, the cargo hold door was reinforced twofold. Thick metal barriers were placed around the clock. Warning signs were posted to prevent anyone from approaching it. James continued to review the security footage, Antonio's last moments. That look of shock. That entity knew Antonio, and Antonio knew it. That entity was a deceased person, otherwise he wouldn't have been in such a shock. Dr. Sarah was trying to slow down Maria's aging process, but it was impossible. Maria felt her own time flowing rapidly. "It will take me again," Maria whispered. It knows me. It knows everyone. It's just waiting for the right time." The ship fell into a pre-storm silence. Everyone waited for the clock to chime. Section 3. The third chime. The fallen engineer. 1800. It was evening. The sun was setting. A blood-red light hit the waters of the Mediterranean. James was waiting in the security room with his radio. The captain, Sarah, and Elena were also there. All screens were on. The cargo hold was being monitored live. 1758. The clock was ticking. Tick, tock. Tick, tock. The pendulum was accelerating like the beat of a drum. 1759. James picked up his radio. "All units, be ready. No one is to approach the cargo hold. Security, lock the doors." 1800. Dong. The clock chimed. This time it was longer and deeper than the previous two. The toll seemed to vibrate the ship's steel hull. The camera blurred. Again. But this time, something else happened. A shadow appeared on the screen. Humanoid, but not solid. Blurry. A flickering silhouette, as if made of pure energy. The shadow passed straight through the container's locked door, defying the laws of physics. James froze. "What is that?" The shadow moved through the cargo corridor. The cameras tracked it. Flickering between light and shadow, it went up. It moved towards the main deck. It went directly to Chief Engineer Victor's office. Victor was there, working on the ship's new course on his desk. He was focused. The shadow passed through the door and the wall to enter the room. Victor didn't feel it. He didn't see the flickering shadow behind him. Then, Victor looked up. The room's temperature had suddenly dropped. His breath condensed. He turned and he saw it. His face changed. Shock. Recognition. Not fear, but an indescribable astoundment and longing. His lips barely moved. "Father, is that you?" The shadow slowly reached out to him. His body blurred. His image melted. And then...
Flash. Victor vanished. Only an empty chair remained, with scattered blueprints on the desk. The shadow slowly returned. It walked down the corridor, descended to the cargo hold. It merged into the clock's glass. It was drawn into the clock like smoke. The camera returned to normal. The clock was locked at 18 o'clock. James ran. He went up to Victor's office. It was empty. Victor was gone. 1830. Panic and dread. Uncontrollable panic began on the ship. Engineer Victor is gone. The third person. How did he disappear? He was in his office, locked door, windows closed, but he vanished. Captain Marcus watched the security footage over and over again. He saw the shadow. He heard Victor say, "Father." Victor's father died, the captain said quietly. 10 years ago. Heart attack. Victor loved him very much. Sarah swallowed hard. So that shadow was Victor's father? The entity takes the form of our loved ones? But how? This is impossible. James squeezed the radio in his hand. He looked. Victor recognized the shadow. He saw his father, and he went without resistance, like Antonio. He trusted it. That's why he vanished. Maria resisted. That's why she only aged. Elena was crying. Then that thing disguises itself as those we love, the person we trust the most. It tricks us, and it steals our time. Captain Marcus stood up. His face was like steel. There was neither fear nor doubt in his eyes. Only determination remained now. Enough is enough. We will destroy that clock now. 1900. Attempt to destroy the clock. The captain, James, Elena, and 2 experienced crew members descended to the cargo hold. They carried axes, hammers, hacksaws, and even James's pistol. The clock was there, silent. It looked innocent, but the energy it emitted had frozen the air in the room. The captain raised the axe. There was a desperate rage on his face. We will smash it, whatever the cost. He brought the axe down with monstrous force. Clang! The axe bounced off. Not even a scratch came to the clock's mahogany body. The wood seemed harder than iron. He hit it again with a hammer. Clang! Nothing again. The hammer was dented, but the clock was unaffected. James tried to hit the glass of the dial with the hammer. The glass was supposed to be shatterproof. Clang! The glass didn't break. The sound just echoed like a gong. Elena tried the electric hacksaw. Sparks flew. The saw's teeth broke, but there wasn't a single scratch on the clock. As a last resort, Captain Marcus turned to James. Shoot it. Hit the mechanism. James drew his weapon. He aimed. Bang! 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 The bullets ricocheted off the clock. They embedded themselves in the walls and the floor. No scratch, crack, or stain. The captain looked at the clock, defeated. Absolute defeat was written on his face. This thing cannot be destroyed. Just then, the clock moved. The hour and minute hands spun at high speed without ticking sounds. From 1900 to 0000. The expected chime time? 0000, midnight. But now it was coming early. Dong! The clock chimed. The 4th chime. Everyone ran towards the door, but the door slammed shut. It locked. The locking mechanism had been thrown by an internal force. 5 people trapped with the clock. Section 4. The 4th chime. Who is next? 1905. Trapped. 5 people. The captain, James, Elena, and 2 crew members. The container was locked. The clock was chiming. The light changed. It turned golden. Everything was shaking. There was a metallic scent in the air. From inside the clock, the shadow emerged. But this time, not just one. 3 shadows. Humanoid but faceless, blurry, flickering, emitting energy. 3 deceased bodies.
The shadows approached slowly. Each step vibrated the concrete floor. One of the crew members, a young sailor named David, screamed, "Run! Please, run!" But there was nowhere to run. The container had become a coffin for them. One of the shadows quickly reached out to David. It touched him. The man froze. He blurred. His face changed. Astonishment. Recognition. His eyes widened. "Mother, is that you? But I'm still so young." Then he vanished. The second crew member, an older technician named Robert, tried to escape the shadow, but the shadow moved at the speed of light. It caught him. It touched him. The man turned. He saw. He recognized. There was both longing and horror in his eyes. "My wife, Susan! But you died 5 years ago." He vanished. Now only 3 remained: Captain Marcus, Security Chief James, Ship Officer Elena. 2 more shadows were left. They were approaching. James drew his pistol. He pulled the trigger. His last bullets. The bullets passed through the shadows. There was no effect. They only tore the air. Elena was crying. "It's going to kill us! It's going to kill us all!" The captain looked at the clock. It was working. Tick-tock, tick-tock. He was watching the clock of his own death. An idea struck him. He remembered what Victor had said, the power source. "Stop the clock." "How do I stop it?" James yelled. "We couldn't shoot it." "The pendulum. Grab the pendulum. Stop the mechanism." James lunged. He tried to open the clock's glass door. Surprisingly, the glass lock turned and opened. He grabbed the pendulum at the demand of the captain. The pendulum stopped. The shadows froze. They did not move. Their flickering ceased. "It works!" Elena shouted. But then, the pendulum vibrated violently in James's hand. He felt a blue, cold energy, like an electric shock. James's hand aged. It shriveled. His skin wrinkled. It became bony. His time was being stolen directly from his hand. "Ah!" James pulled his hand back in pain. The pendulum began to swing again. The shadows moved, even faster. James was clutching his hand. His hands looked like those of a 90-year-old man. The time on his right hand was completely gone. The clock. It aged me. I couldn't resist. The shadows approached towards the captain and Elena. They retreated. They were cornered. One of the shadows reached out to the captain. The captain closed his eyes with determination. "Let whoever comes come." The shadow touched him. The captain opened his eyes. He saw. He saw his wife, Anne-Marie. His wife who had died 10 years ago in a car accident. She was holding hands with their son. The shadow took Anne's form. Her face became clear. Her eyes were shining. "Marcus, come with me. I am so lonely." "Anne?" "Yes, and you are coming too. Your time is up, Marcus. Come with me. You will find peace." Anne reached out. She took Marcus's hand. Marcus felt it. He felt his time being drawn away, years slipping away. His youth, his middle age, now old age. His body was growing heavy. His knees gave way. "No, my duty isn't finished yet," he whispered. But Anne was smiling. It was a terrifying smile. "Don't be afraid. No pain, just sleep." Marcus's eyes closed. His body was being pulled towards Anne's shadow. Just then, Elena screamed, "Marcus, resist! She is not your wife! It's a lie!" Elena lunged with all her strength. She pushed Anne. She pushed the shadow. Anne recoiled. She was surprised, her shape distorted. Marcus collapsed to the floor, but he was still there. He did not vanish. He was just extremely old and exhausted. Elena held Marcus. "Wake up! Wake up!" Marcus opened his eyes. He was tired, weak, but alive. I was going. It took me. I know, but I didn't let you go. Don't look at it. It's not your mother, father, or wife. It's just a devourer." The shadows retreated. They were flickering with anger. They merged back into the clock. The light began to fade. The container returned to normal. The door opened. The three ran out of the cargo hold, upwards, to the deck, to the clean air. They were alive, but one of James's hands and a part of Marcus's years had been stolen, and they had lost 4 more people.
Section 5. The Search for Truth, the Clock's Secret. 20 o'clock. The Research. After checking on Maria in the infirmary, Dr. Sarah Chen rushed to the ship's library. She was determined to find anything about the antique clock. On the internet, in old records, in museum catalogs. Hundreds of searches. And she found it. The title of the book, The Devourer's Clock. It was built in 1743 by a Swiss clockmaker. His name? Heinrich Vogel. Heinrich had lost his young wife. He was grieving, and he became obsessed, reversing time, bringing back the dead. He performed occult rituals, dark magic, and eventually he made a pact with an entity, the Chronovore, the Time Devourer. The Chronovore was a timeless entity. It lived in other dimensions, feeding on time energy, pure life energy. Heinrich built it a home, the clock. He sealed the mechanism with his own life energy. In return, the Chronovore gave Heinrich a gift, the opportunity to bring his wife back. But there was a price. Every 6 hours, the clock would chime, and it would take 1 soul. 9 souls. On the 9th soul, the Chronovore would fully cross into this world, and an eternal feast would begin. Not just the ship, but the whole world would be in danger. Sarah read in horror. 9 souls? How many people are gone so far? She counted. 1. Antonio Rodriguez, steward. 2. Victor, engineer. 3. David, crew member. 4. Robert, crew member. 4 people. There are 5 more people, and the clock will chime again in 6 hours at 0000. 21 o'clock. How to stop it. Sarah shared her findings with Captain Marcus, James, and Elena. James's hand was wrapped in an ice pack. Marcus looked like a tired old man. 9 souls. If it takes 9 people, the Chronovore will be free, and no one can stop it. Its feeding will not cease. The captain asked, "So how do we stop it? We couldn't destroy it." Sarah showed the inscription in the book. The clock's maker, Heinrich Vogel, put a safeguard. If Heinrich's blood touches the plaque, the pact is broken. The Chronovore will be sent back. But Heinrich died 200 years ago. Yes, but he might have blood relatives. The lineage might have continued. If we can find someone of his blood. James interjected. But how will we find them? The descendant of a clockmaker from 200 years ago? Names, nationalities might have changed. Sarah thought. The book mentioned that Vogel's family emigrated from Switzerland in the early 1800s. Wait, we need to check the passenger manifest. This clock wasn't loaded onto a random ship. Perhaps the Chronovore specifically targeted a relative. It might want that soul as the final seal. James quickly opened the passenger list. 347 people. Names, nationalities, professions. And then they found her. Emma Vogel, age 34, nationality Swiss American, profession art historian. Emma Vogel, the only person of Heinrich Vogel's bloodline. She was on the ship. Sarah whispered in horror. She might be the next victim.
The door hinges broke. Clang! The door burst open. The lid of container 47 was ajar.
The dim golden light coming from inside illuminated the entire cargo hold. And inside, Emma Vogel. She was standing directly in front of the clock. Emma was gazing at the clock. She looked mesmerized. There was neither fear nor shock in her eyes, only curiosity and awe. "Emma, step back," Sarah yelled. Emma turned slowly. There was an eerie serenity on her face. "We don't need to leave," Emma said, her voice soft. "It is waiting for me. It will return my family." "What are you talking about?" James shouted. "It's a monster. It will steal your time." Emma smiled. "No, it is part of my ancestors' pact. Heinrich wanted his wife back, and the chronivore told him, 'For this, you shall give 9 souls, 8 foreign souls, and the 9th soul shall be of your own blood. The soul of one of your descendants shall be the final seal of the pact. In return, your wife will be returned.'" The captain was shocked. "So you are here deliberately?" "Yes, I am the blood that will seal the pact, and I will free my ancestor's soul." Emma displayed a small, sharp dagger she was holding. It was an antique gilded dagger. "This is Heinrich's ritual dagger. If my blood drips onto the Latin plaque on the clock, the pact will be complete. The chronophore will gain its full power, and perhaps my ancestor's soul will reunite with his lost wife." 23:30, the final struggle. The door closed again, by itself. The clock began to tick loudly. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The pendulum was swinging wildly. Emma raised the dagger over her wrist. "Don't move!" James shouted. His hand, aged from gripping the gun, was shaking. The captain lunged forward. "You will not do this!" At that exact moment, 3 more shadows emerged. They were bigger and darker this time. They were the shadows of Antonio, Victor, and the 2 crew members. The shadows came toward the captain, James, and Elena, to keep them away from Emma. The captain began to wrestle with the shadow. The shadow took the shape of his wife. "Marcus, why are you resisting? Be with me." James swung the axe in his hand at the shadows. The axe passed through the shadows. Elena quickly turned to Sarah. "What else does the book say? There must be another way." Sarah was panicked, but her mind was still working. "The clock's heart, the pendulum. If the pendulum is stopped before the chronovore is fully empowered, the balance of power will be broken. But it will age your hand." James shouted, "My hand is already aged. I'll try again." James dashed toward the clock desperately. The shadows tried to stop him. Emma pressed the dagger against her wrist. Her eyes were closed. "For my ancestor." James, with a final burst of effort, reached for the pendulum door. The door had locked itself. "It's locked!" The captain broke free from the shadow he was wrestling and shouted at Emma. "Emma, stop! The pact is a lie! The chronovore is stealing your ancestor's soul too, not just your wife's. It is only a devourer." Emma hesitated. She opened her eyes. "What?" Sarah ripped a page from the book she was holding. "Look, on the last page, Vogel's last words. I was deceived. It is only a devourer. It took me too. He didn't want his dead wife back. He only wanted his own time back, but the chronovore stole his soul." Emma was shocked. Her face was deathly pale. She pulled the dagger away from her wrist. This moment of hesitation was enough. James tried to smash the steel lock with his remaining strength. It wouldn't break. Elena suddenly saw the broken shaft of Victor's hacksaw on the floor. She ran and grabbed it.
Not the door, the mechanism. Elena struck the saw shaft with all her might against the clock's weakest point, the point between the mechanism and its casing. Repeatedly, clang, clang. The clock's body shook with a tremor. 23:58. The pendulum, with a magnetic force, began to cut out its ticking sounds. 23:59. Emma dropped the dagger from her hand.
Her eyes were filled with tears. I was deceived. The captain, James, Sarah, and Elena fought the shadows with one last effort. Exactly 0000. The clock did not chime. Tick. A single, slow sound. The pendulum moved one last time, and it stopped. The shadows. They began to melt away with faint whimpering sounds. They trembled. The image of the captain's wife dissolved. And then they completely vanished. The clock was silent. Emma Vogel collapsed to the floor. Her eyes were tearful. "What happened?" James asked. Sarah answered, trembling. "The clock, it stopped. The pact is broken." Section 7. Conclusion and final word. 0030. Silence. The cargo hold was completely silent. The door was open. The clock was locked at 0000. The pendulum had stopped. Its glass was cracked, but it was not shattered. Emma Vogel approached the captain. They won't come back, will they? Antonio? Victor? The others? The captain took a heavy breath. No. That entity devoured their souls. For them to come back, the clock would have to reverse time, and it is a devourer. It doesn't know how to give back. James showed his aged hand. I'm 50 years old, but my hand is 90. Dr. Sarah took the dagger from Emma's hand. You weren't going to use this, were you? Emma shook her head. No. In the end, I felt my ancestors' curse. I didn't want to be the final victim. The Captain Marcus made one final decision. This clock is legally the museum's, but I am the captain of this ship. This clock took lives on my vessel, and it will not take any more. He turned to the team. Now, we will take that clock. We will bind it with the heaviest chains, and we will lower it into the deepest, most pressure-resistant, darkest part of the ship. We will not throw it into the sea. That entity would find a way to return even in the ocean. We will imprison it in its own cell. Forever. The final chime in the darkness of the night. The next day, the clock was lowered by cranes to the ship's lowest floor, into an old, sealed fuel tank. The steel doors were welded shut, locked. The ship continued its journey towards London. Maria remained in the infirmary. Her hair was still white, but the aging had stopped. Captain Marcus returned to his former weariness. James's hand remained permanently aged. A week later, the ship arrived at the port of London. The captain reported the clock lost at sea. It vanished from the cargo hold in the storm. Claim the insurance. No one objected. No one could know the horror that lay beneath that clock. Captain Marcus resigned after completing the voyage. His life at sea was over. As Emma Vogel disembarked, she looked at the captain one last time. Captain, did the clock truly stop? Marcus looked into Emma's eyes. In his eyes were the ghosts of 7 people. Yes, Emma, it stopped. But as he sealed the cargo section for the last time, Captain Marcus remembered the Latin inscription on the clock. Tempus edex rerum. Time, the devourer of all things. And at that moment, even though the clock had stopped, Captain Marcus thought he heard a single sound coming from the depths of the ship, as if passing through the steel. Tick. The clock had stopped, but time continued to flow, and the chronovore was patient. It would wait, even if it took centuries.